everybody. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I'm Naomi, just one half of Weird Mythic, and I'm joined by the amazing Serena. Hey. Hey, how's Texas?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so on Christmas, it was 80 degrees.
What?
It was so
freezing up here.
I know, it was so hot here. We barbecued and it was awesome, but it was really, really hot. It was so weird. It did not feel like Christmas.
That is so strange, but I couldn't even imagine it being hot. If it's 80 degrees, I'm wanting to go swimming.
Exactly. Okay, when I woke up this morning, it was 75 degrees. I wake up at 5 o'clock. What?
Yo.
Why is it 75 degrees at 5 o'clock?
It's legit freezing and snowing right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
We've had to have people not go to certain, places for work because it's snowing and they can't get in.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it was good. How was your Christmas?
It was nice. I just hung out with the family, got to watch my niece open up all her gifts. Aww. I'm going to go back in a couple weeks and watch my nephew open up his, but it was nice. Especially my dad just came back from Mexico. He was there for over a month, so it was awesome to see him too.
Nice.
It was good.
Well, that's awesome.
Just chilling, drinking and smoking with the family is always fun.
Yeah, can't relate. It was hot here and we were all dying.
We were outside, shivering, taking our smoke break. It's cold. What are we doing out here? Trying to hide from the wind.
Yeah, it was, it was supposed to be scattered thunderstorms today and tomorrow, but it's been 80 all day, so
nice.
I don't know.
Nope, it's been raining and freezing over here, so I'm definitely jealous of the weather.
Yeah, maybe you guys will have to come to Texas next year. Just bring your whole family.
Just bring everybody. We got trailers. We can bring them, just set them up on the property, right?
Exactly. 7 acres, you're good.
All right. Oh, shit. So what are we talking about today?
All right, so I feel like we're kind of getting back into the spookier stuff. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree. I feel like after getting everything, with you moving and then the holidays coming, we might have been off our game a bit, but I feel like we're really getting back into really good topics here.
So we're talking about doppelgangers today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I thought I knew what a doppelganger was. I had no idea. So I thought it was very simple, somebody who would just look like another person. And apparently there's a lot more that goes into it than that.
Okay, I feel like I knew what it was pretty much to the T, but it's just kind of scarier when you're researching people's stories and personal encounters. Yeah. It just makes it that much scarier.
I agree, yeah, because that's what I thought too. I was oh, that's kind of silly running into somebody who looks just like you. How strange. And then, no, it can get pretty twisted.
Well, I feel because, nowadays we talk about doppelgangers and we use it in such a light term. We're oh, that person looks like you. They're your doppelganger. Not in the true fashion that it really is. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about what that is first, and then we'll get into the creepy stuff. All right. So the word doppelganger is German in origin, and it translates to double goer or double walker. And while the word is sometimes used to describe someone's look-alike, the word is technically defined as a ghostly counterpart of a living person, directly implying its paranormal nature. So you said you had something on the origin of the word, or the first time it was used, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the first times. But yeah, that's what I found too, was the double walker thing was not what I was expecting for doppelganger to mean. And I also found something that referred to it as evil twin. So that there was that.
I have something on that too.
All right. Well, one of the first, they didn't use the exact word doppelganger, but it's a glossary. So, it just says glossary, but it was written in 1787 by this guy named Francis Gross, who used the term fetch, and it was a noun, obviously, but, pretty much the definition of fetch in 1787 by this, guy. And it pretty much translates to ghost, apparition, and doppelganger. So that was one of the first times that it was written down and used for the word doppelganger was in 1787.
That's so fetch.
It's so fetch. Stop trying to make fetch happen. I know, right? Well, it tried to be a thing.
It was the thing. It's in a glossary of some sort. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really just says and I can't pronounce the word for some odd reason, but Provincial Glossary of 1787 by Francis Gross. And yeah, it was just the word fetch, and it translates to ghost, apparition, and doppelganger. So
yeah, so doppelganger is basically like, I would say it's a biologically unrelated look-alike. So it's not like your twin, right?
Yes.
You're biologically not related. It's like an exact duplicate of a living person. Mm-hmm. And the most widely known myth about doppelgangers, which I knew before, I want to know if you knew before, is that they're an omen of death.
See, I didn't know that. I did not know that at all, not until doing research. No, I did not know that they were a bad omen at all.
Yes, so according to both English and German folklore, seeing your doppelganger means that death will soon follow. Some also say that if someone else sees your doppelganger, that it could mean that you're very ill. Mm-hmm. And then other myths say that a doppelganger is essentially a ghost double of you that lived before you.
Which is very interesting. I have a story.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Many Native American creation myths include the role of dualistic twins. Hopi legends refer to the twins that were called the child of the sun and the child of the water. They also believed in duality between the upper world and the underworld, stating that whatever's happening here in the upper world, the exact opposite is happening in the underworld. So, with that being said, it's believed that a doppelganger is basically your evil double from the underworld.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
The movie Us.
I haven't seen it.
No? Oh my gosh, now I can't even talk about it. Everybody else? That's what it reminded me of. The movie Us.
Welcome to another episode of What Movie Has Serena Not Seen?
We're adding Us to the list now.
I know, right?
Long list.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but it looked good and creepy.
Yes. All right. Upper world and lower world.
Yeah. So essentially what's happening up here, the complete opposite is happening down there. Like the same people. So that's your evil double from the underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in Egyptian myths, we're going to take it to Naomi's little area that she loves to talk about.
I do love it.
You do. So does T. The doppelganger is basically the same as Ka. So a Ka is thought of as a spiritual double that is born in everyone. I want to say it's like your essence or like your soul, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
So when someone dies, their spiritual double lives on as long as they have somewhere to live. So that's usually in the body, right? Egyptians believed that the mummified body was the home for the soul or the spirit. So essentially, if the body was destroyed, then the spirit might be lost. So a doppelganger would be the same as Ka, which is what's inside of you. So I don't know if it's necessarily like an evil thing.
Right. But it sounds like everybody has one.
Another theory floating around is that a doppelganger could represent a parallel universe in which everything in this world is replicated in another dimension. Seeing the doppelganger could be a moment where you're able to witness the other dimension, which I feel like is kind of what the Native Americans were touching on. But instead of another dimension or universe, it's just the underworld, upper world.
Yeah. But I mean, like, same principle.
I think it's like the same. Yeah, same thing. I have a couple stories. I don't know if you want to read one of yours first.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read one of mine, definitely, because it was pretty interesting also. And this one, so I found a play written by a guy named Euripides. And that's Euripides. He wrote the play Helen in 412 BCE.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah. So, in a nutshell, his play, Helen's soon-to-be husband, Menlo, he was in the battle at Troy, but he never came home after the battle, and he was assumed dead. So Helen was then set to marry this other guy, Theoclymenus. I'm just going to call him Theo because it's easier to say. So, So she's gonna get married to this guy, Theo. She was supposed to be married to Monlo, but he just never came back from the war. So one day, Helen's walking around Egypt, and she all of a sudden sees Menlo in one of like the markets. And however, when she goes up to Menlo, Menlo's like, "You're not the real Helen, are you? Because I left Helen back in Troy." And Helen's like, "No, I'm here. I've been waiting for you to come back. Where have you been? What's been going on?" So Menlo goes into the story. When he was at Troy, a phantom is how he was the only way to describe it, of Helen appears to him. And he's now like, okay, Helen's now in Troy. I need to like put her away so that she's not part of the battle and nothing bad happens to her. And as he's like about to take this phantom Helen to like a safe place, she all of a sudden disappears.
What the
heck? Right in front of him, just disappears. And so he was extremely confused and was just like, "Oh, okay, I got to get back and do my thing as a warrior," you know? So now that they've been reunited and they're both in Egypt and Helen is engaged to this other guy, Theo, she pretty much tells Theo, I was, engaged to Monlo and I need to go let me see, where does she go? So she has to go back to Troy and like pay homage to him. She'll come back and marry Theo, no problem. So he's like, "Okay, go perform your ritual. I understand. That's fine." So she and Menlo run from Egypt immediately after. And her and Menlo live happily ever after, I guess. But the whole thing is that Menlo, when he was in Troy, really thought that was Helen, who just appeared to him out of nowhere. And then physically saw her disappear when he was trying to help her.
That's so weird.
That's one of the first, like, stories about a doppelganger that I found.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. I have one.
Okay.
Well, I have a couple, but I have one that I want to read now. It's kind of short. So there was this paranormal author. Her name was Victoria Brandon. And she was talking about being nearly run down by her doppelganger. So she had been driving one day and she turned around the corner and there was this truck that was coming like directly towards her on the wrong side of the road. And when she swerved out of the way, she noticed that the driver of the truck was an exact double of herself and that she had like this evil smile on her face. And she also said that throughout the experience, she felt a thick malevolence and negativity emitting from the double, as well as an eerie sense of quiet and suspension of her normal thoughts, which didn't go away until after the truck left.
How weird.
So I feel like I lost a page of my research where it was basically saying that doppelgangers can sometimes maliciously cause you to do things or give you bad advice, like in order to hurt you.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know where that page went, but it didn't have much on it, but I remember that specifically. So it's like this doppelganger purposely tried to like kill her or something.
How weird. But she like locked eyes with it as it was trying to run her down.
And then I think another common thing that happens is like that the vibe, like the negative vibes around or like sense of dread is present when you see these doppelgangers. So trust your gut, people. Okay.
Well, I have a story to kind of piggyback off that.
Cool.
Speaking of like people having some sort of dread or odd feeling when their doppelganger is around.
Awesome. I have one more to read after that has like the same thing.
Okay, cool. So there's this author and his name is Robert Dale Owen, and he heard this story back in 1860 and he decided to put it into one of his books. So around 1860, Robert was talking to a friend who went to this all-girl boarding school in France, and she had a very odd story of a teacher and how this teacher's doppelganger would actually show up in the middle of a classroom. So,
whoa, around so many people?
Yeah, around people. So, in 1845, this woman named Emily Segui, she was French, went to this all-girls boarding school in Latvia, and she was a teacher. She's been to a couple different schools, though. So she's only 32 in 1845, but this is the 19th school that she's been employed at. So I think that's very odd, but you got to note that down. So one of the stories is Emily was in this classroom with 17 of the female students. And as Emily was writing on the chalkboard, an entity showed up right next to her, and it looked just like Emily. But Emily didn't see it. The class of girls did. And they were saying that this entity that looked just like their teacher was mimicking what Emily was doing, except it didn't have any chalk in its hand. But it was doing the same exact movements at the same exact time as Emily.
Ew, if you could see the look of disgust on my face right now. That is so creepy.
There's more than one story about Emily, though, at this school. So another story was Emily was out on her lunch break, and the entity, again, appeared next to Emily, sitting down, and started imitating her as she was eating. This entity didn't have anything in its hands, wasn't actually eating, but was doing the same exact movements. There was another time that Emily was helping one of her students with her dress, like hemming her dress. And the girl looks down and notices that there's two Emilys there. Two Emilys fixing her dress. The little girl actually freaked out so bad that she left the classroom and said she didn't want the teacher's help anymore.
She's smart.
Yeah, no, she just bounced. She's like, Can't do this.
Good instincts on that one.
Yes. Now, that first story about, her being on the chalkboard and the doppelganger showing up with the 17 girls watching, there was an even bigger sighting of 42 students seeing this happen. Yeah. So there was these 42 students, and they're in their sewing class. The teacher all of a sudden is like, hey, class, I'll be right back. I got to run out, go do my thing, whatever she was doing. And as the classroom is still sewing and probably just chit-chatting and chilling in the classroom, Emily appeared. She just walked into the classroom and sat in the teacher's chair and just sat there. The girls didn't think too much of it, considering it's like, well, the one teacher was gone for a while, so they had to get another teacher to substitute in, right? But a few minutes kind of go by, and the student, one of the students notices that Emily was actually in the garden. They can see her in the garden, tending to the garden. So the girls get pretty freaked out, and they're like, talking to themselves, but the doppelganger Emily is still sitting in that teacher's chair. So I don't know which student this was, but it probably would have been me, honestly. Go up to the doppelganger and put their hands, try to see if they can feel her. And she wasn't solid, but you couldn't see through her either. They said the feeling that they got when they placed their hands on doppelganger Emily was like that of putting your hands into a bunch of spider webs.
Ew.
And they bounced up out of that room. So then they left the room after that. The director of the school actually let Emily go because teachers were pulling their daughters out of school because of all the sightings of the doppelganger were scaring them so much. Yep.
Ooh, she's weird. What's wrong with her? Why does she have so many?
Emily never saw the doppelganger, but anytime the doppelganger was around, people said that not only did Emily look tired and sluggish, but she would be just really lethargic and tired when the doppelganger was seen. And you could physically see it, that she was feeling something when it showed up.
So how could she not tell?
I don't know. It was all sightings of other people seeing it next to her or somewhere where she was at, but she never saw it.
Ew, spider webs. You fucking killed me with
spider
that
webs. I know, right? Spider webs.
I'm grossed out.
I love that there was just at least one student who's like, I'm going to see what's going on here.
Yeah, you fucking would be the student to go feel up the teacher.
Let's go see. Let me see if I could touch the teacher's face. And then my hand goes through their face. Yeah, I would. I would be that stupid kid.
Wow, that's insane. So he wrote about this then?
Yeah, it's in one of his books. Again, his name is Robert Dale Owen, and yeah, he has the accounts written in there.
Whoa. Okay. That was crazy. I don't like that story.
You don't like that story?
No. I have another one.
Sweet.
So in 2015, a woman was with her family at the beach, and she was with her 4-year-old daughter, and they were hunting for seashells. And the woman's older daughter had gone off to have lunch nearby at their cottage with her dad. And the 4-year-old daughter was going to go ahead and join them, right? So the woman made sure that the youngest daughter had caught up with them and then went back to hunting for seashells. She was walking for about 20 minutes when she noticed that the waves and the weather started getting a little stormier. The waves were getting more treacherous. And she's like, oh, this is bad, right? Let me make my way back. So she starts making her way back to the cottage, and she stated that she had this sudden feeling of inexplicable dread. And she looked around, and she saw that her 4-year-old daughter was in the middle of the rough waves in the sea, basically drowning and struggling for her life.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, the same 4-year-old that she just took to the cottage.
Right. I was like, so how did she get there?
Yeah, so I'm
confused.
actually going to read her words exactly.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
I have never seen such a rough sea, and so I turned back with a feeling of unexplained dread. I couldn't shake it. I looked out into the ocean, and I could have sworn I saw my 4-year-old drowning in the waves. I knew with absolute certainty that she was back safe at the cottage with her father and siblings, but yet she was drowning in the rough seas. I started wading into the water to try to help her. I was in a total state of panic. I was crying and absolutely hysterical. I knew that if I went into the water, I would drown. But there I was, going, even though I knew that that wasn't really my baby out there. I felt like something wanted me to go out into the water so I would die. I had to fight the instinct to help her. Keep in mind that the thing in the water was the spitting image of her. I took off running to the cottage, crying the entire time. My young daughter greeted me at the door. I was never in my life so happy to see her. To this day, I'm convinced that the thing in the water was her doppelganger, trying to lure me into my own death. I know that they say you can only see your own double, but I wonder. I hope I never have this happen again. I hope this never happens to anyone who is reading this. The desire to go into the water was stronger than any force I have ever known.
Wow.
Isn't that so crazy?
That's scary. And she knew that wasn't her daughter, but she did I don't know how that's such a mindfuck.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but on the one hand, as a mother, I probably still would have gone out there and died. Yeah. I probably would have died because
it's just that instinct.
Yeah. But she said she had to fight the instinct. But could I have fought the instinct to go and save her? I don't know.
Yeah.
If I could have fought that instinct, I think I would have died.
Wow.
What if it was Louis out scary. There, Naomi?
I don't know why he would be in the ocean, but
what if it was, God forbid, what if it was Lyric or something out there?
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do because the only instinct I have is to help the kid, that's what you're going to do because it's a child.
That's just so insane. Yeah. So, but she said, that it was present, that feeling of dread and so yeah. What's crazy too is she felt it before she even saw her. Or it.
Which is that whole feeling of something's happening or something's just not right. So strange.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm so starting to think that the whole doppelganger thing has to be some sort of parallel universe.
That's my theory. That's really what I think it is. That somehow there's a slip in the timeline where it crosses and then you're... Okay, you watched the Loki series, right? On
the which one?
Loki, the one on Disney Plus. Okay.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that, where there's like all these Lokis like causing trouble in other timelines or whatever. So that's what I feel like. I feel like they like slip into this other parallel universe and then they just take advantage of that moment for like just to create fucking chaos.
But that makes you think, like, if it is a parallel universe and it is like one of our doppelgangers, do they have some sort of knowledge that they can see us and interact with us, but we can't do that with them?
Maybe. I mean, like, they say like doppelgangers are like a supernatural being, so
yeah,
maybe they do have some kind of, they're tapped into some kind of higher knowledge, or
like why, like the woman who you talked about, who her doppelganger tried to run her over, like why? How does she know to get into a car and run over the other person?
Well,
and why?
That's where like a time traveling theory could come into play, because say that specific doppelganger who was the evil one that was driving in the truck was in a different timeline and already played that out, so she knew exactly what time she was going to be there, you know what I mean?
That's true.
I don't know, it's just so crazy to me to think like that. I mean, there's too many stories for it to not be.
Yeah, and it dates back so long ago.
So what is everybody just making this up for attention? Like, I just like don't think so.
It's so strange. Yeah. So I have one other story, and it's really short.
Okay, cool.
But so there is this he's a German poet, playwright, and I guess he's done some stuff for the scientific community and whatnot, and has wrote journals and plays and poems.
Is he a bird scientist?
Probably. No, I don't know. I don't know. But he wrote about 8 different plays. Again, his name is Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, or that could be like, I don't know.
That's a fucking name.
Goethe. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So, a little story about Johann here. So, Johann was a bit of a player. And again, this is back in the 1700s. So, and this particular thing happened in 1771. So, he was leaving his girlfriend's house to go to another girlfriend's house, even though he was married at this time. So, he's going to go see another mistress. And he's on his horse going to the next town. But as he's leaving the one town, you know, he's on his horse riding out of town. And he notices somebody coming up the same dirt road as him. And he's like, that guy has a really nice suit. And the guy's getting closer and he goes, that's fucking me. Probably not saying fucking, but he's like looking at this guy and he's like, that's totally me. And the guy's getting closer. And so they're about to cross paths as the guy like all of a sudden disappears in front of Johann. Johann just kept leaving town. He thought it was weird, but he just continued on his way. Something that he noticed about this guy coming near him, who he just swore like that's me, is he's like, that's me, but much older. And his suit, he really liked his suit. He took notice of it. He's like, I really like that suit. So, you know, he disappears. And about 8 years later, Johann is actually on his way back on that same type of dirt road, heading into the town again. And Johann notices about himself that he's wearing a gray suit.
Whoa.
And he's heading back to the same spot. And he's like, that is weird. But yeah, 1771, a guy who's contributed to Arts and Scientists believes he ran into his own doppelganger. It wasn't anything malicious or nothing, but he straight up thought it was, and then it wasn't until 8 years later that he's like, oh shit, I'm wearing that same gray suit.
Whoa. So
and
is that sorry to cut you off. I feel like that's almost like reverse deja vu.
Yeah, right. And there wasn't anything leading up to him buying the gray suit. Like, it seems like he just probably bought the suit.
Not even thinking about it.
Nothing hit him until he was on that same road going to the town. And he's like, wait, I've done this, or I've seen this.
Whoa.
And then it clicked in his head at that point that he remembered seeing himself going the opposite way.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, that was just cool. It's short, but 1771, and Johann von Wolf something saw something. But yeah, so just thought that was really interesting.
Well, that's crazy. So what are your theories? What do you think doppelgangers are?
I really do think it has to be some sort of parallel universe.
Yeah.
I just have so many more questions about it, which I guess isn't surprising considering anything that has to do with a parallel universe or a whole other timeline.
What are some
There's
of
just,
your questions?
like, do they know that they're a doppelganger? Like, we don't know if parallel universes are real, but are they? And if they are, do they know that they're real? Do they know that we know that they're...
I feel like they know they're the doppelganger, right? Because...
That's my main question, yeah.
I feel like they do because the stories we hear about and the research we've done shows that they're usually malicious.
Right.
And they're usually doing something to harm somebody else.
Right.
Well, their exact double or whatever. But then that brings me to like, okay, so if there's a parallel universe... Yeah, who's to say you're not the doppelganger?
Yeah, exactly. Who's to say that I'm the evil one or not the evil one?
Right? So what if you ever ran into your counterpart or double or whatever you want to call it, and then you... I mean, I don't think you would do anything like to... I don't think you're the doppelganger, Naomi. Okay, maybe...
No, there can only be one of us.
Maybe I spoke too soon.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I've never, like, it wasn't until doing research for this episode, I really had no fucking clue what a doppelganger was, obviously. And now, I don't know, I think it just goes back into, like you said, just parallel universes, I guess.
Well, there's gotta be doppelgangers in the other... Okay, so there's gotta be doppelgangers in our universe, right? Because everybody in the parallel universe can't be a doppelganger. I think there would be some here, too.
Okay. Definitely.
What if it's just, like, the evil people? Like Hitler type, you know?
Like, maybe.
What if they're the doppelgangers?
They're, like, the actual doppelgangers. Yeah. And in some other universe, they're actually, like, normal.
There's a nice Adolf
quote,
Hitler.
Unquote, whatever normal is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I have so many questions too. Like, it's just, what happens if you confront your doppelganger?
Right.
Because that would be me and you. Me and you would be like, yo, bitch, what's up?
Like, hey.
You know?
You ain't supposed to be here.
Yeah. Like, I'd be like, who are you? You have my face.
Something that I found in the research was in Finnish folklore. Whenever somebody, like, wakes up and, you know, you've heard the term, like, waking up on the wrong side of the bed.
Oh, yeah.
Or sometimes you just, like, have one of those days where you're like, today just isn't a good day, or today sucks. And really nothing's happened, you know?
You just don't know why.
You just don't know why that the day sucks. In Finnish folklore, what they believe is that your doppelganger has already lived that day, or your spirit has already lived that day, and it knows that you're going to have a bad day. And that was kind of that's kind of like their definition of a doppelganger, is it's almost like a guardian spirit, but not always like a good guardian. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times it's just like other people also being like, hey, I saw you at blah, blah, blah. And you're like, actually, I wasn't there. I was home. And they're like, no, I saw you. And so they're like, so in Finnish folklore, they're like, oh, you were there. It was just your spirit was there. And I'm like, that's even creepier, actually.
I feel like,
so I'm like,
I feel like I'd be like, okay, what are you smoking?
Right. It's like, so is this going to be more of like a residual haunting spirit kind of thing that you have no control over? Or is this a totally physical, different person that is, you know, identical to you? On that other timeline, or not timeline, but parallel universe, you've already lived this day. Okay. And so the doppelganger knows that you're going to have a bad day, and something about that spirit is connected with you. So your spirit is like, yeah, today does suck.
Okay. So that's what I think reason. Like deja vu is like parallel universe or a different timeline, and you've done that before, or they're like crossing.
Yeah.
And that's why you get the feeling of like, I know exactly what's happening right now.
Right. Yeah. It's like, because you totally get the feeling of either I know what's going to happen, or I think I've already done this before.
I have such strong deja vu that I could literally tell you what's going to happen in the next like 5 seconds.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Crazy strong, my deja vu. It never used to be like that until probably like, I want to say 2015 when I had my daughter.
Oh, that's even more interesting.
And I swear she's psychic, like just throwing that out there. She knows shit, okay?
I mean, why not? Especially kids, because they're just so much more open and they haven't been jaded by the world.
Right? And she always looks at me like I'm crazy when I'm like, who were you before this? She's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Mom?
Oh my gosh. I love it. So, have you seen any of the pictures of Keanu Reeves having doppelgangers?
I've seen a lot of celebrities.
Right?
A lot. So, it's like a huge subreddit.
Huge. I know, right? So I had to dive in a little bit to that. And so what got me started to actually look into celebrities that have doppelgangers, I was watching the Graham Norton show. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I've never even heard of that.
So, because it's on the BBC.
Okay.
So I was watching some British TV and I was watching the Graham Norton show. And he has Daniel Radcliffe on there quite often. This dude did a whole segment of people that look like Daniel Radcliffe from, like, history. A lot of them are women, and it's hilarious.
I saw Leonardo DiCaprio has, like, a woman one.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just so great. I love it. And there's actually this, a French recording artist, and his name is Felix Lalo. This dude looks identical to Daniel Radcliffe, and he's, like, current, like, in today's world and shit. Like, you could look at both of them and be like, they're either twins or, like, a year apart.
I
like,
wonder
it's insane.
If they did, like, some kind of, like, 23andMe or Ancestry.com, if they would find that they're, like, connected somehow in their family tree.
Cool. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That's crazy. Well, do you have anything else, or are we going to wrap this guy up?
We could totally wrap it up. I am going to throw out there one more thing, though. Actually, no, 2 more things, because I thought it was funny. But, so, Nicolas Cage, there's that picture of the Civil War guy. Oh, looks just like Nicolas Cage. Adrian Brody, if you don't know who John Locke is, he's a philosopher from the Enlightenment period. He's known as the father of liberalism.
You said John Locke, and I thought Lost.
From Lost, yeah. Well, that's what he's named after, is Lost, is John Locke. But anyways, that's totally off topic. Adrian Brody looks identical to John Locke. Like, it's almost scary. And going back to Keanu Reeves, I have a article that there's this guy in Brazil who looks identical to Keanu Reeves, just walking around Brazil acting like him. It's insane.
That's so funny. There's all those, have you seen, like, recently, there's like 500 Ariana Grandes out there.
Is there?
There's so many. Jesus. And then, like, what about the Avril Lavigne? Is that a clone or is that a doppelganger? Because I'm pretty sure she's dead. So
she's not. And they've said the same thing about Eminem, saying that Eminem died too, and this is just his doppelganger.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Avril Lavigne that's trippy too. No, not our pop punk princess.
I think it's a robot. Elon Musk had to have created some kind of robot. I think he's a robot too, side note.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, that's Doppelgangers. Let us know what you guys think. Send us an email at weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, that's going to be an interesting conversation. You can also follow us on Instagram at Weird Mythic Podcast.
And Facebook.
And Twitter and Facebook and our website. So Twitter is at Weird Mythic. We also have our personal pages. Naomi, get on there, girl. Get on there.
I know. I'm hardly ever on there. Sorry.
I spend too much time on Twitter now, but
I need to just go on there and, like, retweet what you do.
Just do it. I'll text you every time I post something. But also let us know what you guys think about the episode. We would love to get rated.
Yeah, Apple Podcast, please.
Yeah. I think Spotify does a rating thing now too, which would be awesome if we could get some
anything
feedback.
To help us out, guys. I think this is our last episode for 2021, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who's contributed to the art on our show. Thank you, Jim, for the awesome music.
Oh, I miss
V
Jim.
for being on the show. Santa may be a criminal. You guys, he was on the show. It was great. Jason,
I know
cool.
everybody who's been on the show, who's talked about the show, retweeted, followed. Happy New Year, you guys. I hope everybody had safe holidays, and let's fucking kick 2022's ass.
Yes.
Make it your bitch.
Right in the ass. Definitely. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yay.